Oh gosh, we're getting codes already. Buy a car like this is when somebody else has spent a load of money having work done on it, isn't it? Well, made a bit of a mess there. I hate. And with all this loose, it means I really can't do that. Hi guys, welcome back to Chop's Garage. It's Saturday morning. What have we got on? Well, the truck just been picked up. George has just picked up the Isuzu pickup truck D-Max. So shout out to George if you're watching, because he did find my channel after coming to look at the pickup truck. And interestingly, I said there was a gap between George viewing the car and buying it, which made me think perhaps he wouldn't have it. But actually, he was obviously a little bit nervous about spending that kind of money. And obviously, as you guys know, I hadn't actually done something of that value before. So George actually found a channel, watched the videos, and says that he got confidence from watching the videos that I was okay to spend that kind of money with, which is ideal. Game on. So thanks to George for that. Hopefully he enjoys the truck. Like I say, it had the advisory free MOT. We did some front brake pads on it. It went out with a 6-month warranty on it. I know you all said consumer, trade vehicles, you don't have to worry about warranties, that kind of thing. But it is a lot of money going out, for someone to be spending on a truck, and I want to have some backup. So I put 6-month warranty wires on it. We did gold cover. We upgraded the £50 an hour labour rate, but we also upgraded it to cover emissions, which will cover the DPF and the sensors in the exhaust system, which is probably the biggest risk with that, as it's had a clutch already. The biggest risk is probably something DPF emissions related, I would have thought. We've pulled jigged everything around. Went for a little burn in the MGB. I forgot to get the camera out. Went for a little burn about in the MGB. It starts on the button, that thing. Bombs around. I must get it out now the sun's out. I just need to get the fuel tank fixed so I know actually how much fuel I've got in it. So we had to have a bit of a jig around. Got the Clio out for our subscriber Ray, who's coming down on Monday. I remembered that I haven't done the service on it yet, so I've parked it up there. It's been running outside for the last sort of 20 minutes or so the engine oil's nice and warm. We'll drain the oil, do the oil filter, air filter and oil on it, which I've got already ready to go, and then give it a quick wipe over. Obviously it's not a given that Ray will be having the vehicle because he's coming down from Wales to try out first, but he did put a deposit down on it, so he's held on to it. It is a super clean example. I mean, even though it's needs a bit of a wipe down. I'd reduced the price on this now to 3,495 with it's got like 50,000 miles on it. Put a new advisory free MOT on it, didn't we? So that was done. So yeah, it's all ready to go other than the service. I say we'll give it a little wipe down. So I'm hoping, it sounds wrong, but I'm hoping it's kind of a quiet day today. I feel like a bit of a chilled day today. I've been again chasing my tail all week, but I still have got lots and lots to get done. Suzuki Swift went down and had its tracking and alignment done because it was slightly out, and I do want to get to another track day in it. Same old with this thing. I can't get myself out of it, and I'm very tempted to spend a bit of money on it now and go and have it done by the specialists who do a little bit of a remap on it, just to release a few more horses but improve mid-range and throttle response, and upgrade maybe pads and discs, because I'm loving it so much. And remember, I've only got like I only had sort of £1,300 in it, I think, after delivery and other bits and bobs. Now I've done the tyres and had other bits and bobs. It's probably nearer 1,600 maybe, but they're just standard things. If you're using a vehicle all the time, you're gonna have to put tyres on it, aren't you? DS, still need to plug it in, read the code. Mike's still having the black Jag. He's coming down next week to pick that up. I need to pull that out, drive it around, because I haven't moved that for a while. Give it a wash off. I need to jet wash off the X type, put that up for sale. I think eBay's the best place to put that up for sale. Probably get my best money back on it. The Alpha's gonna have to go. I've decided on this. Quick update. The Alpha has to go, and no reason other than the fact I just don't use it. Cracking car. I think I prefer it, obviously looks wise, to the Suzuki Swift, with its red stitched leather and that. It's looking a bit dirty at the moment. It's a fantastic car. It's never let me down. I can't remember how much MOT's left on there. I might need to go for a new MOT. I had front discs and pads done the other day, didn't I? I didn't have front piston. I had a caliper done. Caliper stuck, so I had a caliper done. These Giuliettas, they do have caliper problems quite a lot, these. So if you do have one, don't let it sit. Move it around all the time, because they do like to lose a caliper. Again, I never actually ended up painting the bonnet because I peeled the lacquer off, and when with machine polish, this comes up really nice. And didn't seem to be a lot of points putting in more money into it. But yeah, I use it daily, never missed a beat, and it just still has that same issue, if you want to call it an issue, that it seems to boost a little late. It's like 2,500 revs, but the rest of the time it's flying. So we'll let it go cheap, just get some money back in the bank out of it, because it's not doing it any favours just sitting around here. I-10, I still need to get around to the I-10, but I need to get the Golf ready because we've got a subscriber who would really like the Golf, so I need to get the Golf ready as well. But let's get on and get this Clio serviced while the oil is still warm. Oh, some of you said I had my pricing wrong on the Nissan Qashqai, which you were right. I just picked the number out of the sky. I forgot what it actually was. When I ran it through Auto Trader, it's got up for 6,995. So 6,995, 6,995. Yeah, we'll see how these go. My last Qashqai flew out the deal, but I think that's because it was a petrol. And I think people are looking at petrol more than diesel at the moment. Being in the southwest, I've got a better chance of selling the diesel. But with the deposit on the Clio, the only cars I actually have up for sale at the moment are these two. I don't have any other. I mean, obviously mother-in-law's car's for sale, but that's her thing, isn't it? She's doing that directly. So I only actually have 2 cars up for sale, despite having, what, 1, 2, 3, in the region of 5, I think, or 6 that could be up for sale, so I do need to crack on. And again, I just think about you, David Mill. I think about how many cars you've got to get ready, and I just feel good about myself again. Guys, I had to let you know about this. My neighbour just let me know that he's put his Audi up for sale. He's, what is it? I don't even know what this is actually. It's an A7, isn't it? I'm terrible with Audis. But the reason I'm saying is he's put it up for 14k, I think he said. And he's just had 7k's worth of work done on it. He's had the engine out and had the timing chains done. He's had a gearbox oil service on it. It's got new discs and pads on it, and the thing is mint. I thought that sounded like a bargain. It's done 96,000 miles. So if you've got any interest in it, let me know on it on Instagram. Bung me a message on Instagram or comment down below this vid, although I'll probably miss that, so better get me hold of me on Instagram and let me know, and I'll pass your details on to him. But I thought that sounded like a bit of a bargain. 14k. I know he's got over 21 in it. He's properly done absolutely everything to it, and it is mint. Really is in excellent condition. A hell of a looking car. Looks like a lot more money to me. It's the 3-litre diesel, isn't it? And I think it is the A7, isn't it, this one? Excuse me if I'm wrong, because like I say, don't know my Audis too well. It's a bit too fancy for me, isn't it? But yeah, I thought that sounded like really good value. Fortunately, it's one of those cases where the time to buy a car like this is when somebody else has spent a load of money having work done on it, isn't it? Because whoever gets this now is going to benefit from the biggest risk with this car having already been done by the previous owner. Gosh, look how clean that engine bay is. Someone did a decent job of it, didn't they, eh? But then I've done one of these air filters before. I presume it's all underneath here somewhere. Which I hate. Why can't we all have Hyundai just clip up ones, eh? Ah, there we go. So I'm assuming that the air filter lives in here. Looks like it because it's a long thin one like the box I've got. So I need a number of tools to get this out. So what do I need for that? Star-headed one, whatever they're called. There's the old filter, not too bad. So obviously has been changed fairly regularly. New one in. Make sure I've got this the right way round. I have to take it apart again, which I haven't. There we go, that's the way round. These are such simple jobs to do, there's really no need to pay someone else to do them unless you do get super busy like I get sometimes, and sometimes it's just worth having more to do it, but they're not open on a Saturday and I'd have to take the car down there anyway. And like I said, I'm going to have a little bit of a chilled out day today, take my time doing a few things, not rush around like a mad thing today. We'll just get this all ready. Blooming under tray, I hate under trays. Just a pain in the backside. This is yet again another different size bolt. No one there somewhere. Oh, no. Oh, nice and clean under here, no oil leaks at all in this engine. I mean, I've had it outside running for 20 minutes or so. The gearbox is clean as a whistle. Lovely job. Even looks like there's a new washer on that gearbox. Like someone's done a gearbox oil change on it at some point as well. Fairly new copper washer as well on the sump plug there. So this has definitely been having regular service. Now luckily I do have, before you start this job, make sure you've got the Renault sump plug. Otherwise you'll have problems. Here it is, my trusty adjustable. Yeah, that sump plug was definitely only about 25 or so newton meters, so it's definitely had regular servicing and done properly as well, not overly tightened. Well, made a bit of a mess there. I hate oil filters that sit over legs like this and subframes. They just drips on when you take the oil filter off, and then ends up dripping forever. And when you wipe it down, you're just carrying it in drips. Not the easiest oil filter in the world to get to, these ones. You're probably supposed to take the wheel off and the wheel H liner and going from the side, but I don't want to be taking all that off, and I could get to it, so I did. Use my claw. Where's my claw? Ah, you probably know what I mean, the three-legged claw. They're the easiest things I find to get it, even the toughest oil filters out. It's only a little bitty oil filter. So there it is. Well, the oil was actually not bad. It's still got a bit of gold to it. So again, I don't know how good a service this history came with. I can't remember. It certainly looks like something that has been serviced regularly. Right, go and have a brew, let that drip out for a while, and then put it back together again. Remembering to put the copper seal back on the sump plug, which I didn't when I did one of these before, and it started leaking out of that, leaking off of the under tray. So I've got a box of copper seals in next door. Go and grab one that fits nice and tightly to that. So new oil filter going on. Yes, I've put some gloves on now after making a terrible mess, as always when I do jobs like this. Yeah, new oil filter going on. So cool, I have got an axle stand on the go, as well as the jack by just for the safety people. So we'll get under and get that oil filter on. Right now we'll lower her back down, fill her up with oil, run her up, have a quick look, check for leaks again. Before I put the under tray back on, because that's what I don't like about the under tray is just don't want to make sure I haven't got any leaks. I don't want to, if I leave the under tray on, there's any leaks, it'll build up for quite a while in the under tray before it starts dripping off the back of it. So if I leave it off, run it, and then jack it back up again, put the under tray back on again, I can be 100% sure we're good to go. Well, that's bang on oil level and no leaks underneath, so we can pop it back together again with the under tray. I wonder if I can squeeze underneath there without having to jack it up again. That, by the way, that's sit there. That's from the MGB. I started it in front of the Clio, and it left a little bit of soot on there. Luckily, I managed to keep the car inside, so I don't have to do a full re-clean before it goes out the door. Yeah, managed on the floor. Mind you, I could have done two Hyundai i10s in this time, or a Toyota Aygo. Don't know what's broken there, unfortunately, but not the end of the world. So yeah, little service done. Probably cost me, saved me. It probably saved me in the region of 60 quid, I'd have thought, doing it myself, because I normally supply the parts anyway. So, mind you, actually, no, I doubt Moores would have charged more than an hour's labour. So it might save me like 40-50 quid. And the margin is pretty tight on this one, so I guess it's worth saving that. I couldn't have got it done by them today anyway, like I said. It's just I've got now tidied up the mess I make doing these jobs. So coolant level's okay, topped up the washer fluid. Just going to check the tyre pressures now. And then give her a quick wipe over, park her up. And if Ray's happy, then she'll be set to go for him. Right guys, so a lot of you said after selling the volume of cars I sold last month that I would be inundated with problems. We have got a few already. So a lady just popped by with the Fiat 500 she bought last month. She's been driving around fine for well, I'd say probably 4 weeks she's been driving. But it suddenly started occasionally going into limp mode. And it's just to go up, turn it off and turn it back on again, which I plugged it in, came back, plugged it with my trusty top Don, so that saved my hide again. Not having to send it down to a garage. they've still got a special offer on, I think, at the moment for the top dons. I'll put the link on below. I saved myself Diagnosis Plus on a Saturday. I wouldn't have been able to send her down the road to get it checked because they're not open, so I was able to provide a service straight away. So it came back with a misfire code for 2 cylinders. Now I did have a spare coil pack sitting around, so I did swap that out for them quickly. I haven't done so many Fiat 500s. Now the reason I've got coil packs around is because 9 times out of 10 it isn't the coil pack, it's the ECU on those. So I swapped that over for her and said try that out and let me know how you get on. But it's quite possible we're going to have to put an ECU on it. In the meantime, I had our subscriber Zan messaging me on the the VW Polo I sold last month. Hold on a sec. The 2011 one with 150,000 miles on, that had a new timing chain fitted, and I think it had a new valve fitted as well to it. Now he tells me that he's just been to a VW dealership to get a key and asked them to check it over for him while it was there, and they said the oil was low, very low, and they had to top it back up again. And Zan says then by the time he got home from, I'm not sure how far distance it was, I think he said 30 or 40 miles, he reckons it used almost a litre of oil again. Now it's a strange one, because obviously that car was driven from Wales to me without needing oil, and then obviously Zan's had it now for just coming up to probably 3 weeks or so. I don't know what kind of mileage he's done in between, but you'd expect the engine to have seized by now if it was using that much oil, wouldn't you? If it used a litre in 30 miles over 120 miles, it would have completely used all of the oil and seized, one would have thought. I mean, when he says it was low, I mean, obviously on a dipstick, the first notch is a litre normally, isn't it? So if it hadn't quite used, it may well have only used less than a litre in the entire time he's had it, which for 150,000 miles car, 3-cylinder, you kind of expect, wouldn't you? I asked him to check to see if there's any leaking on the floor, because I said, with that kind of oil consumption, I expected either to be pouring out the back or dumping on the floor. But he says he's got no leaking on the floor and he's got no smoke out the exhaust, which we didn't have obviously when we had the car in. But I can't think of anything that would spontaneously fail to allow it to use that amount of oil that wouldn't cause it to either smoke or dump stuff on the floor. So it's a bit of a mystery. He's going to book it in the garage and see. It does have a warranty with it. It has a bronze warranty on it with warranty-wise, which will cover some internal parts of an engine. But my concern is that if it's not coming out the exhaust and it's not hitting the floor, to find out what it is, your only option is to strip an engine. And no warranty company is going to pay for you to strip an engine on a 150,000 mile 2011 car. So I think it was 2011 or 2010. So I'm not really sure what the score is with that. Obviously, if it's using that amount of oil, there is something going on. I just kind of hope that a mistake's been made, because in terms of how much oil it's got, I mean, obviously we know even a new car can be expected to use a litre every sort of 1,000 miles. So something that's done 150,000 miles, you might say, a litre every even 300 miles would possibly be acceptable. But a litre every 30 miles would be a bit of a problem. So I'll have to keep you updated on what the score is with that. But again, 150,000 mile car isn't something I should really retail for this kind of reason, I guess. But we'll have to see what the score is with it. It's certainly not going to be economical to do an engine rebuild on it. It'd probably be cheaper to put a new engine in it, if anything, would be to get a second-hand engine and put it in there. But obviously that wouldn't be financially viable. So we're just going to come back and see what the garage comes back to say with it. But again, I don't see any warranty company paying for you to strip an engine down, because if they strip the engine down and find it's a seal in the engine on 150,000 miles and the engine seal's gone, they're going to say that's a consumable item. They're never going to pay you out on that. So yeah, as I always say, guys, the money's not in your bank until that warranty period's over. So if you're in this game, make sure you have a contingency fund. If you have a good month and you sprog it all and think it's all in your pocket, it's not, unless potentially you're selling new cars where somebody else is picking up the warranty. But anything used, especially sort of this stuff over 10 years old, you're going to have comeback. You can prep them to your heart's content. You can do a new service on them. You can do an advisory free MOT on them. You can drive them for a couple of days, which I did do with this Polo as well, again, without noticing any smoke or anything like that. So you can do all of those things and send them out with the best will in the world. Once someone starts using them on a daily basis, day in, day out, on a car that is, you know, over 10 years old and over 100,000 miles, you're going to start to have problems, you know. And if you can keep it around about, what are we now? We're at two out of about 20 at the moment, I think we are. No, 3 out of 20, aren't we? Because the RAV4's got their thing. So 3 out of 20, so we're just over 10% at the moment. I would probably expect once people start to use cars in anger for that to get anywhere as high as 25% or more, even with the level of prep we do to them before they get out the door, because that's just the score. Obviously, some of the claims won't be particularly valid either. You know, so it doesn't necessarily mean all of them are valid claims. Like I say, the RAV4 realistically is not valid for a vehicle that age for an exhaust thing, but obviously it's happened very quickly, so we're jumping straight on that. But yeah, I'll keep you informed, let you know how it gets on with the 500, how we get on with the Polo as well. Monday morning first thing, giving the Giulietta a clean off, because I'm lending it to someone who desperately needs a car for a few days. It'll be interesting to see what their feedback is on it. I won't say anything about the turbo lag, the fact it kicks in at 2,000, not sort of 1,500, 2,500, and we'll see what they come back and say about it. It'll be interesting, because I know a lot of you guys say, James, you're just fussing over nothing, so it'll be good to get an independent set of eyes on it. But it does come up nice, doesn't it? Such a nice looking car. So Monday morning we got the Fiat 500 in that we sold last month. I think it's coming up about a month on this. Lady's just started reporting that at random times she'll get a engine management light come up on it, and it goes into limp mode. Just to pull over, turn it off, back on again, and it comes out of limp mode, which on these 9 times out of 10 is the ECU. I swapped the coil pack out. They popped by on Saturday. I swapped the coil pack out for them. I checked the earth on the battery, because they work loose on the 10 mils, work loose on the battery terminal there. Checked the earth down here underneath the battery tray. Like I say, changed out the coil pack. I'd done the spark plugs previously already, so I'm pretty confident it's the ECU. Running the codes, it comes up with what it always comes up with on these, which is a random misfire. I've had it on the Ford KA with the 1.2 in. I've had it with the Fiat 500s. So there's no really other way of diagnosing what else it might be. The wiring looks okay going to all the plugs. So let's whip it out and get it sent off to ECU testing. So whip the battery terminal off. I take the plug off first to try and make sure I retain. I think I need to do that to retain radio codes, and then take the main one off. I don't know whether I need to do this before taking the ECU off, but I always figure it's safer, so I'll leave it 10 minutes and then take the ECU off and get it all packaged up. There's Ray and George off. Back up to Wales. A couple of lovely guys, proper lovely guys. And they were proper patient as well. Oh my goodness, what a game that was. So the guys had arranged to pick up the car from me, and obviously you saw me on Saturday do the service, go through, check fluids, everything, blah 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 blah. Lovely sunny day, wasn't it? So I moved it in and out of here, no problem at all. Never thought to check anything like the wiper blades, just gone for an MOT and they're working. Anyway, so George and Ray come down and try the car out. Sorry, I'm just realised I'm saying George, that's his surname. It's Kevin and Ray. Anyway, so Kevin and Ray are trying the car out. Kevin goes a little drive around the car park here, around the back and so forth, just wanted a feel for the vehicle. And so, no, how do the wiper blades work? Because they're not working, so I do the switch and they're doing nothing at all. The wiper blades are doing nothing. So check the fuse, get on old YouTube, find out what the fuse is, hop in, change the fuse out. Still doing nothing. Can't for the life of me work it out. So desperate call down to Philip Moores, and once again you've just got to shout out Philip Moores. What a total legend. Said, can I pop down right away, Phil, because the guys are coming to pick it up all the way from Wales. I said, can you squeeze me in to have a quick look at the wiper blades? So he says, yeah, no problem. We hop in the car. Ray follows me down. I drive down with Kevin in the Renault, and Phil jumps straight on it, has a look at it for us. He checks my work doing the fuse, which was obviously I couldn't really mess that up. The fuse was okay. Checked if he was getting power was getting to them. He took the little valance off the top of it, all while the three of us have stood over him. So bless Phil. I know that's not the best thing to happen, but we just stood around chatting while he cracked on and did it. Anyway, so he gets the valance off, checks it's getting power, and decides just to give the motor a little knock. Gives the motor a little knock, boom, straight into life again. So they just kind of whatever would sort of stuck down a little bit for whatever reason. And yeah, they worked fine after that. We tested them over and over again. They worked absolutely fine. So we put it all back together again, drove it up here, and for the guys to, and then we think we had a problem. We had a problem taxing it, didn't we? Oh my goodness! And then I misplaced the keys from running around like a or whatever. I'd put my coat down from being down at Moores. Put my coat down, and the key had somehow sat inside the coat. I hadn't actually put it in the pocket, but it kind of sat inside the coat. We're looking everywhere for the keys, and it took me a while. And in the end, for some reason, I went to go in my bag, and they fell out of my coat when I went to go in my bag. So yeah, so Ray and Kevin, well done for being the most patient customers ever, because there was a lot of faffing around there. So in the end, I thought, right, I topped up the tank a bit more with some more fuel and gave them some more cash for some fuel, try and make up for it a little bit. But they're taking it back for Kevin's son as his first car. And yeah, so massive thanks to those guys. Hopefully a nice safe journey back and the rain stays off for them. But yeah, again, massive shout to Phil down at Moores. What a service, eh? I'd have been stuck without that. It's a bit annoying to think now I probably just give them a tap from the outside and they probably would have kicked into life again. But there you go. You live and learn. I need a coffee. I've forgotten, while that was happening, our lady who had the Toyota Yaris, Toyota Aygo off me from last month. You remember the gear knob was all worn? I said to her I'd get a new gear knob, which I did get the new gear knob for her, and I said pop in anytime you're about, basically. Well, of course she turned up at the moment that we were doing the paperwork for Kevin and that. I said, do you mind if I just nip out, because it just needs to unscrew. So I run out of my new gear knob, all proud to stick it on there, unscrews to her. I thought, oh, this is going to be easy life. Just screw it back on again for her. So I put it, screw it on for her. She looks down and she goes, I'm not sure that one's going to work. I said, why is that? She said, well, I don't think the car's 6-speed, is it? She said. And I was like, no, and I don't think reverse is over there. Let me show you a sec. I bought this on eBay. It was listed for a Toyota Aygo that would fit a Toyota Aygo of this year. But as you can see, it's 6-speed and reverse is in the wrong place. For some reason, I was rushing around, I didn't twig that at all, went out and put it on the car. She said, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Bless her. So she's had to go off again, I had to reorder it. So Monday is being Monday at the moment, and I've forgotten my charger for my laptop, so the work I needed to get done, I'm not going to be able to get done. So yeah, I think it's time to get another coffee and sit down for 5 minutes. So videos before last, I left you all a bit on tenterhooks as to what the problem might be with the DS. As we know, I drove it for several days without having the issue of it starting with a slightly bad idle. But it did eventually pop a code up, and we haven't actually run it to see what the code is. So I've got my trusty topped on. We're going to plug it in and see how we get on. I'm afraid I'm on my phone today because I just run out of battery on the GoPro, so apologise for any picture or sound qualities. Let's plug her in and see what we can find out. So it's found the VIN number. Makes life a little bit easier. It's loading up the data. So yeah, we're going to do a health report. Yep. Yes, it is in the on position. So we'll let the topped on do its thing. Oh gosh, we're getting codes already. So it's only taken 48 seconds to do a full report, which is good. I hate waiting around. Some of the systems I use just stood around for ages. Right, so we've got all this stuff here. Engine system, let's have a look at that one. Here we go. Inlet air circuit, air turbocharger pressure lower than reference value after sales threshold. I told you it'd be that, didn't I? Something's relating to the turbo pressure. And what's this built-in interface thing? This is probably going to be boot or rear door sills lighting fault. I think we can live with that. Alarm, ultra sensor fault, no signal. We can live with that. It's a used car. It's going to have a couple of things like that on it, but Let's go back. Ooh. So if I go on this one, this P107A, let's click on that. It should take me to Google and tell me engine stalling or misfiring, engine performance issues. Got a solution, so we got some YouTube videos here as well. Let's have a little look at those. But I'm going to go inside and do those in the comfort of the unit, I think. So nice feature on this that I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to get the report and I'm going to email it to myself so that I don't use the data. Again, apologies for the camera. So now I've emailed that report to myself. I don't have to do all this again. I can sit on my laptop and do some research on it. A good life rule is always remember to take your dongle with you. So back in my emails here, I've got my diagnosis report. So let's have a little look at it. There is one issue for the power system. Inlet air circuit, air turbocharger pressure lower than reference value. After sales threshold. Don't know what after sales has got to do with it. And those two minor issues. So no codes for anything regarding to timing or anything like that. So we need to do a little bit more research on this code. Go to the bottom of the email there. It gives you the actual code there. So even if you weren't going to tackle this fix yourself, you could actually forward this on to a garage, maybe a specialist, and they'd be able to give you some information off the back of this report. YouTube is pointing to exactly the place I thought it might be, the pressure solenoid for the turbo there. Now it might seem like part starts me ordering that and fitting it, but you've got to bear in mind how much labour and so forth I'm going to save, and I'll get the price at the part at trade. So I don't know what other checks you could do. I guess check all the piping and the hosing and so forth to make sure there aren't any other air leaks elsewhere that could affect it, which I'll nip and have a quick look at in a second, see if I can spot in the office. But I think we're going to have to replace that part. That's what I had to do last time to make it the Cooper S work. And this is exactly what I had on the last one. The membrane was broken, so we can whip the other one off actually and have a look and see if the membrane on the DS is broken. The one on the Mini just fell apart as soon as I took it out. Well, okay, that looks a lot easier to get off than the one I did on the Mini. It must be slightly different setup. So let's get the old hex heads on the go. So on visual inspection, this one looks okay. I can't see any damage to the rubbers. I'm not sure what I could do with this. Maybe I could try putting some power to it and seeing if it works. Or just checking continuity, I guess. Much to the dismay of many of you, I've just got Billy to get me another one from GSF. He's going to have it at 3 o'clock this afternoon, so I might as well just swap it over and give it a shot, mightn't I? I know it's going to upset a lot of you that I haven't done proper diagnosis, but I can't see anything physically wrong with it, but there could be a little pinhole in there somewhere, I guess, or a little crack that I can't see. Adrian's in the house. He's brought the Mitsubishi back. I've just noticed it on the trailer. He's pulled it. I don't know why. I didn't see that this wing's dented as well. But I think I might be able to get my hand up there and push some of that out. Obviously, all my parts just arrived. GSF also in the house, and my part for the DS3. So this is the wing we had painted. I tell you what, it's a good match, isn't it? Boy's done good there. Panel to panel. That's a really good colour match. Really good colour match. And look at this, guys. It almost looks like I actually get my hands dirty every now and then, doesn't it? So yeah, got the Mitsubishi dropped off. I can't remember what I've got to do with that car now. We'll get onto that. But we've got the valve turned up for the DS. I'm going to refit that because I want to run it home tonight and see if that gives me full boost or not. Let's pop it back in again. So that's the new one back in. Only takes 5 minutes to fit. You'll notice one slightly different bolt there because I dropped one on the floor and I can't find it. Typical. So I just got to pop that back on, which I moved to make life easier. getting it in. I'm trying to remember which way it goes around. Now it goes around like this, something like this, doesn't it? And it fits down here somewhere. Slides into these here, doesn't it? There we go. Then we'll get the old top don back on it again, clear the code. So with the Clio sold and only 2 cars up for sale, I really need to start getting some stuff retail ready for next month. So first up, we're going to get this Golf done because we've got a lot of people wanting this Golf. I want to sort this rusty edge of this wing out, don't I? Just comes up onto the edge here. I want to be careful not to go too far into the wing though, because I don't want to have to get paint specifically for it ideally, because I don't really know if this is the original white or not. We just want to try and stop it from getting any worse, so we need to get the wheel arch liner out, so we jacked it up a bit, and also I want to try and fiddle around with this bumper as well, see if we can't get a better fit for that. Oh, by the way, the Suzuki Swift, since I cleared the code with the top don for the emissions code, I've driven it 5 or 6 times since, not had an issue, but I am going to put a cleaner through the system as well. But yeah, since I cleared it with the top don, it's not come back since. Still behaving really well. So liner out, only one bolt remains stuck. There's this one here. It's the only one that's stuck. Just need to sort that one out, and then we can basically clean off all this, put some rust treatment on it, and then, sorry, I'm still using my phone at the moment, and then tape up to this line here and just spray the edge of it, try and just stop the rust going any further, and get in here a bit as well. Fiddling around with this gap, I want to do that before I start doing the paint. It's sticking out here, it's lining up here. Now what I'm finding is, by filing a little bit off the edge of the tabs here and off the bracket here, it's this corner that's making it stick out. By filing a little bit off that, it's closing the gap up, and it's still maintaining its position. Let me just do it a second. So you can see now it's improving. I don't think it's ever going to be bang on, because it should tuck right underneath. It should really, shouldn't it? I don't think it's ever going to be bang on, but that's why you're not paying $5.5 grand for the car, you're paying $3.5 grand for the car. But I do want to see if I can improve it and just get it in a little bit tighter. Just warm it up with the air gun and then hold it in place. So now it's looking better. We've got to get this into here. I hope that screws up and tightens back up again now. This is the trouble with these jobs, is you fix one bit and it pushes another bit out. It can be a bit of a nightmare, but that's sitting below actually. So yeah, I don't know how much better we're really going to be able to get it. But let's get this treatment done first, because there's no point doing that until I can bolt this back in, and I need to treat this first for that. By using a brass one, if I get any scratches in this, I should be able to then bust them out afterwards. Well, you can see that's already beginning to look a lot better. There was a lot of it, it was just literally sitting on top, and just a little bit of a wire brush and a buff. It's gone away, but we're just going to treat that edge there. You can see where it's the black paint. We just want to treat that all the way along. We'll put some Vat can on it first. That's the converter base you recommend to me. And then we'll give it a coat of white afterwards. Luckily, it looks like we're not going to have to come out onto the lip here, so we should avoid any unsightly mismatches on colour. What I am going to do is just scrape off this little blister here, because even with a slightly out white, it's better than leaving that, which is definitely going to start to rust right the way through. So we'll scrape that off and then give that a treatment as well. There we go. Now let's get some treatment on. So a little bit of the Vat tan, and here, like I said, I used to buy just the Hammerite stuff, but a lot of you recommend this. I'm just going to use a little touching brush here. I want to control quite a lot where it goes here, and this should just convert that surface rust, prevent it bubbling back through again. I mean, obviously short of stripping back the entire wing and repainting it, I can't guarantee anything, but at least this will last a darn sight longer than it was going to look like it was before. I just noticed a little bit down the corner there, which I'll do as well. Right now, unfortunately, that needs to be left for 24 hours really before I put any paint on it. I shouldn't paint onto this stuff until it's had a really good chance to go off and do its conversion job. So I'll have to move on to find something else to do. I've got bits and bobs out of the VW up. Seems that all of you are very much in favour of using this car to flip up to a Morgan, so let's see if we can't do it. Yeah, so I've got stuff out. It's a lovely interior on this, isn't it? Can't imagine any kid that wouldn't absolutely love this as their first car. And you're right as well, by the way. I said the glass roof didn't move. It does. There's a dial to make it move there, isn't there? So, you know, I was concerned that perhaps things weren't lining up, which is why it was kind of an abandoned project. Well, it seems the headlights haven't even come out of packaging yet, so I can't see that was the problem. I've got two bumpers because it appears that the original only really had damage at this end. That can be repaired and that can be replaced. So yes, this bit was damaged. So the other bumper is good there. It's all good but broken up here. So it's a case of swapping bits off the two. Yes, a case of swapping bits off the two. So take the centre section out of this one and the grille and pop it into that one. And then just have this bit down here painted just to tidy that back up again. So yeah, a bit of swapping bits and bobs over. So while we've got a few minutes, let's have a go at seeing how everything lines up on it and work out if we can see where everything goes. I don't have nuts and bolts with it, that's the only thing. I don't seem to have found them anyway, but luckily I've got lots of pots and nuts and bolts and most of these fittings are fairly generic, so I'm sure I'll be able to find something to do the job. Well guys, we're nice and tight into the wing there and all the holes line up. So looking good so far. So it does appear to fit the headlights correctly. I need these little adjusters. I don't know quite what they're going to be called. I'm going to have to try and track them down. I've got one for this side. I haven't got one for the other side. This is the things that nickel and dime you to death and just take loads of time to sort out, getting the genuine parts. But it looks like that one sits underneath in top of the headlamp, inside the headlamp, and then this one screws down into it. But we can still get an idea of yeah, we can still get an idea of what the fitment's going to be like. I would keep hold of these, the reason being they're obviously adjustment to allow you when it comes to trying to get the panel gaps right and headlight gaps right. These are adjustable by the looks of it, so if we just go with fixed bolts to replace these, then we won't have any adjustment to try and make sure everything lines up. So with this one in place, how's everything line up? Pretty much bang on again. All the holes are lining up. And that'll be because our sub went with a new rad pack. If you try and keep hold of your old rad pack, and they went for new panels here as well, if you try and keep hold of these, there's normally a little tweaking that you might not even notice, and it'll be a real cow to line everything up. And the good news is there's no lower fittings down here, so I can still go ahead, fit the bumper, and then when I've got the screws, do these up, because all the bolts are at the top. Sometimes the bolts are sit underneath here, which means you've got to wait before you can put the bumper on. So next step is we want to touch in these little bits we did here with some anti-corrosion primer before we start putting the white on it, and then go up over the arch there, which is looking a lot better. You can see now that the Vatican has turned it all black where it's converted the rust. Primer's drying off. Let's tackle the VW up bumper. I've started. Now these are a game to get off. Getting these tabs to undo all around the side and keeping them all unclipped while you work your way around and do the rest is a right pain in the bum. But I have managed it. The only ones I'm really struggling with, these two on the side. They are really funny. I've never seen them at that angle before. I'm not sure how this even went on from to go on at that angle, but maybe undo the other side. Maybe once they're undone, you lift the whole thing up in this direction, and that might then allow those to free up. Because I've got to do the same thing on this one. But obviously, I don't want to do any damage to that one at all in the process, so I can kind of learn off this broken one. Right, I have to admit, guys, after ages struggling with them, they wouldn't come, so I've decided to just cut the tabs off the top there on those ones. Oh, and these ones have gone back in again down here. But yeah, cut those tabs off because it was just taking too long. Sometimes you have to realise there's still quite a lot of tab there for it to go back on, and a little dab of tiger seal when I put the other one back on again. I think is entirely acceptable because I can't see this being taken apart again. So that's that grill out that side. I did think I'd have a tidy up in here before I started working on cars again, but you just got to prioritise getting stuff done. So hopefully some of that's resaleable. I would have thought the two spotlights I could have get a few quid back on. So we've now got to whip this one off this bumper and swap it onto that bumper. And again, things like the old VW logo here might be worth saving, I don't know, even if I just stick it on the wall. Right, let's crack on. I think I'll do the same thing again just to save speed and time, is cut the tabs off on the end ones. Just put a bit of cardboard down so I don't scratch this bumper. Oh, it's not this one I want to... It's that one I didn't want to scratch up in it. That one's on the cover already anyway. So that bit can be binned. Don't need that bit. These are the kind of crash repair cars that it's entirely possible to do, guys, at your home garage. These cat ends, if you get the right ones. Just... you want nice light impacts that just do the rad pack and the headlights. They're normally quite easy to bolt together. Avoid the ones where they do go into the wings, because you'll probably find the support for the wing in the inside is bent, and that can be really fiddly. If it's light enough that it hasn't damaged the bonnet, well, this one did have a bit of a crease on the bonnet, didn't it? But if it's light enough that it's not gone into the wings, odds on are everything should line up fairly easily afterwards. But yeah, nothing's complicated here. Now this one, because I'm not saving this bumper, I just want this section here. I'm going to use the tin snip to cut the tops off of all of these tabs to speed the process up big time, if you get them enough. So yeah, I'm just going to go along and cut all these tabs, because then I can get this grill off in half the time, because I'm not saving this bumper for anything. Yeah, that's popped in okay. Slightly... I'm very picky, there's a slight... Oh no, it's fine. It's me just being a little bit overly picky again. Right, so get that one into that one now. Now this is often as much of a game as getting them out, because you're trying to get one clip in, another one pops out. I don't know what happens, what was wrong with good old screws to do these things. These little plastic clips, so annoying, but I guess the idea is they're supposed to be disposable, so you have to buy it all brand new again. But we're not going to do that, are we, guys? So let's get that clipped into that one and see if we can get one decent bumper out of the two. There we go. All pop back together. Oh, I just realised we've got a bigger crack there than I thought we did. Okay, I can repair that, that's fine. So yeah, all back together again. I've got to keep reminding myself I haven't had to pay for the bumper, so that's a bonus. Well, I guess it got as part of the bundle, didn't I? But I can fix that easy enough, and it's not in the line of sight, that underneath there, so it's not the end of the world. Oh, before any of the MOT police get going, that's not the reg of the car. That's off the spare part, I think. So you can knock yourself checking out what happened to it 8 years ago on its MOT if you want to, but I don't think it's relevant to this vehicle. Oh, for about, I think it was £8 or something, I found a guy selling the headlight fitting kits for these headlights with the proper adjusters in them. So I ordered 2 because that one's not that great now. I've taken it out, so I can use the proper bolts to bolt with the headlight back in again, and I'll be sure that it's all lined up in place. But for the moment, like I said, we'll leave them like that and get the bumper on, close the bonnet and see how it all lines up. Now it looks like we're not going to be very effectively able to see how this lines up, because the bumper actually has these plastic clips as well to go into the rad pack there, and then it clips in underneath the headlights like it does on the Golf here. And with all this loose, it means I really can't do that. So what I need to do is wait for those to come in. So Project Morgan is a step closer. I think the thing to do now is arrange to see about getting these wheels. Hopefully someone can CNC machine the edge of them and to take the edge off of those. Hopefully it wouldn't be too expensive. It might be that I'm better off going to an engineering place than I am going to the actual wheel refurber guy. An engineering place might charge me less. But the wheel place will be able to get the tyre off, I guess, and get the valve out of the way. I can't think of any other way of doing it. It's going to just be too labour intensive. I can't spend 2 days trying to sort those wheels out, which is, I imagine it easily could take that long. Yeah, a nice machined edge on them, come straight off, look good as gold. So yeah, it's moving along a little bit, because I think once that's bolted together on the front there and those wheels are done, we need to have a look at the airbag light, see why that's on, and but once that's done, it could be fairly ready. Could be quite a quick turnaround. Get a fresh MOT on it and get her up for sale. She's got brand new tyres on all the way around. She runs really well. I can't imagine she'd fail much on MOT wise. And then yeah, then we can be a step closer to our Morgan. It's just annoying having to wait for those clips. The thing with crash repair cars is you do spend a lot of time waiting for parts to turn up. It's one of those things, and there's always last minute nuts and bolts that you forget about. But yeah, we'll leave that for the moment and get finished on the old Golf. Now our paint should have dried on the corner here by now, I would have thought. So we need to start trying to find a white that matches it. But first, I just want to clean off the residue of the vat can, and then we'll see if we've got a white that's acceptable to touch those areas in. In between coats in the Golf, I need to change this wing mirror for the Mitsubishi. To replace my wing mirror to black, because it's obviously black on mine. I'm going to use the black bumper paint on this, so I need to scuff it up, mask it up, unless I can pull the cover off easily. I might have a quick go at trying to pull the cover off, because then you don't have to mask anything up. But a lot of them are a bit finicky with the old tabs. Oh, I did it. Just use some plastic tools in the edge, gently tweak it, popped off. So that's going to save us a load of hassle masking. I can use my giant spray area, which is the roof of Project Sebring MGB, which I still haven't done bugger all to, which I still haven't done Link to. But I don't mind if I get a bit of black overspray on that, because all this needs to be sanded down anyway. So let's just scuff this up, key this up now. There we go, all scuffed up with a scuff pad, cleaned off with some window cleaner to make sure it's got no grease on it, and then we're going to give it a coating with this Pro XL texture coating. Pro XL stuff I find is a general really good, obviously not sponsored content, just giving you honest feedback. If you want to get hold of this stuff, I get it from the Marlowe's Paint Supply guys. Their website's available online, I'll give them a call. First thing up, as always, just a dust coating from distance, so we've got something that's keying the surface up. And I've got it lifted up on this so we can get right around the edges and make sure we haven't got any blue showing. So it's just a like dust coat like that, and then just leave it. Always invert your cans for a split second, spray like that, stop the head from getting clogged up, and just check you haven't got stuff building up like I've got on the edge of the lip there, because that will spatter and ruin your paint. There we go. So we'll leave that for about 10-15 minutes. Like I say, you can see it's textured. We want it to be textured because that's what's going to allow the other coats to grip. We will do it quite wet on this because we don't want a really textured bumper type finish. We just want a unpainted plastic finish on it. So yeah, that's the stuff. This is the stuff I used on the top edge of the pickup truck, and on the areas I wanted to, the stone chippy areas. Yeah, it's good stuff. Anyway, right, let's go and put some white on the Golf, and we've got my rattle can alley here. These are all the various cans I've used over time. They've got little bits in that you just know when you want a tiny little bit. Obviously keep it in a metal cabinet and keep it closed because these are flammable, just for security and safety type of thing. Right, so we've got to go through the whites that I've got, and I've got various whites. Now looking at that white, it's quite a sort of glacier white type of thing, so I'm thinking the Citroen Bianco for the C1 might be quite close. But we've got an appliance white, we've got some crystal white from Ford I think here somewhere, not sure that one's. Obviously the door acts as the test. That's quite close, that one. I can't quite see what the label is on that one unfortunately anymore. That doesn't really matter I guess, as long as it's a match. So what we got here, we got a Bianco 268. Now that's the Fiat 500, which is a slightly creamier white. Sad, isn't it? It's sad. That's a Bianco as well. So I think it's going to be, and then we've got a Peugeot Alpine white. Now Alpine white might be quite close, or is that the creamy one? Alpine's a little bit creamier. So we'll take Alpine. We'll take the Citroen. What's this? This is a Ford Crystal. Oh yeah, Crystal sounds like a good bet. Right, we'll get those, do a few little spray outs and test. Oh, the DS3, because this is actually the following day. No difference. Didn't get a code for boost, but there is no improvement in performance. So, and I still think we might have a bit of a leak, a turbo leak on it. So I might drop it down to more for them to have a look at it while I get on with other stuff. I went down yesterday to drop Phil a pasty for jumping on the Renault the other day. Obviously being in Devon, all trade is done via pasties. And I'm pleased to say that while I was down there, he told me that the Nissan Qashqai that you can see is missing went for its MOT advisory free. The only thing he did advise is to change the rear dog bone suspension bush, and he thinks that's what's giving you a little bit of vibration on start. There's a bit of, it's allowing the engine to move a bit. So we've got one of those on order. That's going to be popped off today. I'll drop it down to them again so I can get on with other stuff, and then we can get the Nissan back with an advisory free MOT on it, and then it'll be ready to go straight out the door, because then both of these will be MOT'd. We're coming up to the busy weekend, the end of month weekend. What's either the last weekend of the month or the first weekend of the month tend to be the busiest. So that's perhaps when we will see the 4x4 starting to go. Still haven't got the lock and wheel nut turned up for the Skoda yet, so I can't refurb the alloys, which is the last step on the Skoda. Well, that'll probably need an MOT as well. It's probably too short now, having sat around so long. And then we need to crack on with the Mitsubishi, get the Mitsubishi and the i10, of course, out there ready. So we've got cheapy little runarounds and 4x4y stuff. And we're going to have a visit from Mike. He's coming to pick up the Jag this week, so we're going to have a visit from Mad Mike this week. Might get him on camera this time. I haven't done it on camera before, have I? I'm keeping you up to date with the updates. Just had an email from ECU testing. They've received the ECU on the Fiat 500, so we'll find out soon whether I was right or not, whether there's a fault with the ECU. So yeah, we'll find out what's going on with that. What was I doing?